Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talking in Ovals podcast. If you are a running fan, throwing fan, jumping fan, all around athletics fans, you found yourself in the right place. That is what we are here for, to talk about athletics, to have some fun. And, it's just two guys that love the sport, that like talking about it. And today, it's been a little different. We skipped a week last week. We couldn't get things together. We're a day behind today, and we don't have a guest. So you're just stuck with two schmucks that like to talk about running. I'm Alex. Over there is Hyatt. What's up, Dave?
Not much. I'm just, it's going to be nice to have just the two of us on here.
It is. Now, before we get going into anything fun, just want to note today is Tuesday, November 1st of 2022. If you like what you hear, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Go find us on the Twitters at Talking in Ovals. So, Dave, it's going to be a fun one today. We have some fun topics, but I want to start off with the fact that we finally have some notable things. We have not necessarily PRs, but great races that were sent to us by, my coach, Pete Colizzo, Marist, director of Marist Track and Field Men's and Women's Cross Country XC, track and field as well. He sent to us some information about what the men's team did at the MAC, and some all-rookie people, so I want to give it a shout-out. This is what we do. We're going to do this at the beginning of the show, High. We're not going to do it at the end, because you want to know why? People get it front and center, and they can come in for the love, and then if they want to stay for the show, they can. But I'm okay. If you want to come in for the love, I'm not going to hose you into listening to the whole show. And fun fact, for a veteran there, you still wouldn't have to listen to the whole show. You could scroll if you wanted to.
Yes, but you can.
We're going to do it from the top here. So first off, Marist men finished third at the MAC meet, which is the best place that they have had in 6 years. Now, anyone that knows anything about the MAC, Iona is the most dominant school in the MAC. There was a string of time where they were consistently the number 2 team in the nation.
They were amazing.
They're not that high now, but they're consistently still at nationals as a team. They make team nationals basically every year. They're fantastic. The host school, Siena, finished second, which is a very deep school. They have a chance at maybe squeaking into nationals, but a very good Northeast regional team. And then the Marist Red Foxes fought with grit. Again, finished third. They had a 96. They barely squeaked out Ryder, who had 100. And, you can ask Coach Colizzo. He's as straight as it comes, and he'll say, hey, Ryder's probably a little more talented. We wanted it more. And that's kind of what XC comes down to, High. We've seen that happen time and time again at every single level where, I want to talk to any young runners or any collegiate runners right now that maybe are just sitting out of your varsity or being thrown in a big race and you're in the pack and you're not always a top 5 finisher. Your finish matters big time.
Yeah, of course.
Especially if you're sitting there as your 7th, 8th, 6th runner. On any given day, you could jump in and be a 5th or 4th runner.
Well, yeah.
Make that final kick. Pass that extra person. You have no idea what it could do for you.
Everyone always thinks, only 5 score. Listen, any good team or any good coach will tell you the job of 6 and 7, push back the other team's 5. I mean, your role is vital. The more that you can beat anyone else's 4th and 5th runner, that's, it just makes their score higher.
Yeah, and the top 5 for Marist had a minute spread, basically, like a minute and 6 spread, which, pretty good. Top guy, Ramsey Little, at a 24:30.5. He's an all-MAC selection. But we want to talk about, he brought up, not Ramsey. I wanted to give Ramsey a shout out because he's had a good season. But he also brought up that there were 2 all-rookies, which I think is, your all-conference is big, but all-rookies pretty big too, because it's kind of shining a light on the future that's coming up in the conference there. So in terms of the all-rookies, for the men's side, Kieran Donnelly ran a 25:36 and was the all-rookie MAC for the men's side. Then on the women's side, and that's in an 8K race. So he's blazing in an 8K race for a freshman rookie coming in. On the women's side, the third finisher for the women, Parker O'Brien, ran a 22:37 in the 6K, and she was an all-rookie MAC. So shout out to both of them. I'm happy that we finally got some PRs. This is what we want to do. We want to make sure that people know your name, that people know what you did at the race, and that you deserve a shout out here. So I'm hoping this inspires more to come. I hope Kieran, Parker, the men's and women's XC teams listen and send us more stuff. We want more stuff. Bring them on.
Well, on a much smaller scale, I also have a shout out to one of my old coaching partners, Mr. Bob Picton over at Manchester Middle School. They got third place in the USTNF championships.
Yep.
And if you don't know, Manchester is a small school, so when you're going up against much larger middle schools, that's a big deal. I think their top kid was like third place. So shout out to the Manchester Mustangs in Ocean County.
And I feel like middle school is so different too, Coach. And you coached at the middle school level, so you might be able to talk to us more.
I did.
The difference between your 8th graders and your 6th graders is incredible.
It's
like in high school, it's different from freshmen to seniors. Obviously, it's boys to men, but this is quite literally like adolescent 5th grader just turned 6th grader, as opposed to a soon to be man. And so it's like a huge difference in terms of talent level, fitness level. Yes. So in order to put together team performances from a small school, as opposed to your Toms Rivers, your Jacksons, your Bricks.
Well, Southern wins it almost every year.
Southern. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, yes, I mean, you can never judge. I always learned when I coached middle school, you can have a 6th grader who's awkward, can barely run. That kid in 8th grade could be a completely different athlete, a completely different runner. So it's really hard to gauge, especially more on the boys' side. You'll get girls who are studs at that young age, but boys, it's hard to tell. And I'm just pumped that all those kids are going to go up to high school and run for Coach Griff.
I'm still salty that I didn't get to run my last 2 years of middle school. I went over to Lakehurst. I think I could have broken 5 as an 8th grader. I really think I could have. I was 5'23" in 6th grade. I really think I could have broken 5 as an 8th grader. I'm pretty pissed.
Yeah,
I'm angry about that.
Listen, there's a lot of things of my running career that I'm angry about, but I didn't run. I ran cross country in middle school, and then I didn't start till 8th grade. I got second at the counties in cross country my first year running, and then spring track. Tom's ever had a rule where I was a little kind of a punk, so I didn't take my studies as seriously as I should have. So because I had 2 Ds on my report card, I was deemed ineligible for spring track. So.
Ooh.
But then I bounced back in high school and I beat all those kids freshman year. So it's all
there. You go. There you go. All right. So let's jump into our topics for today. So I got to give you all the credit in the world. You found all these topics. I didn't do shit this week. So I just read the articles and I'm going to provide some commentary. So I want to jump into the first one because this first one's a fun one. The next 2 are going to be a little more serious. This first one's a fun one. The beer mile. Now,
controversy.
You're not a runner at, I want to say the college level. Please don't do this at the high school level, but at the college level.
21 and older, guys. We don't promote any underage alcohol consumption here.
Yeah, don't do that. And if you do it, though, do it smart and do it safely. Don't be an idiot. We don't promote it, but we're also not naive. Don't be dumb. But correct. So the beer mile, what the beer mile is, now there's, sanctioned official rules, but every school kind of has their own little separate things, and there's always debates on what's real. Nick Simmons kind of brought it huge out into the forefront for American runners to kind of now be open about it. It was never really, it was kind of a known thing you did if you ran collegiate track. But essentially what it is, you have to pound a beer, run 400 meters, pound a beer, run 400 meters. Do that over and over until you get through the 1600. If you throw up, you have to get a penalty lap. Yeah. So,
well, it depends. I mean, I've seen some races where, if there's any, excretion of vomit at any point, you are done. Now, that's what we did. Now they have the actual league where there's a world championship, and that's where our story kind of takes place. There's this whole controversy at the World Championship Beer Mile, which is
this is the beauty. This is the beauty, though, of acknowledging that distance runners love to fucking drink, though. Because what other sport actually makes alcohol mile, or alcohol really into their running? Everyone else is peak athlete. Yeah, we like to drink, but runners, distance runners. So I'm going off on a side here. One of our best runners in Maris history, Adam Vess, wrote a paper about why distance runners like drinking so much, because he said when they're in a certain zone, it really simulates that runner's high. The feeling is a similar feeling, and that is why so many distance runners enjoy drinking. And he really went scientific into it and really, brought it down to the nitty gritty. And he was an elite level runner. He won nationals in the 3K in high school. So he was elite level good runner. 3K or one of those. Vest was fast. But he wrote that. And I think it's really interesting because now you're seeing elite level runners participating in the beer mile. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously also levels of intelligence and times to do it and times to not do it. I mean, yes. Our old guest, Marcus, had a great tweet the other day about the consumption of alcohol will not help you. So we are not saying that it'll help you, but yes, a lot of our distance runners and cross country runners were big time drinkers. But you have to know when to do it. Like, I remember reading many, many stories about Eamon Coughlin, who, broke the Foreman mile I believe more than anybody else at the indoor level, would have a pint of beer before every big race the night prior, because it helped them calm down. But so they have the world championships for the beer mile. And from what I can gather, you have to have a beer of at least 5.0 ABV. And there were a couple controversies this year. I guess most of the elite level beer milers, like the world record holder, which I think is like 4:27, which is insanely fast.
Ridiculous. I mean, that's better than my PR.
So most of them, they prefer bottles because, it's much easier to consume a bottle of anything faster than they can. Well, where they had it this year,
it was in Belgium. It was in
Belgium.
Leuven, Belgium. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's Belgium. So Leuven. I don't know how to say it.
For some reason, glass was not allowed. So I guess they had to go to cans, and it was not a popular thing for the top athletes.
And you can't shotgun these. That's against all beer mile rules. Right, it doesn't matter where you go. You're not allowed to shotgun.
That would make it much, much faster. But I believe the winning time was only in the 450s.
Only in the 450s, pounding a beer and running a quarter mile. Only 450.
So from what I can gather, it was a big controversy, and some of the athletes were not happy about it.
So one thing I want to add to this too, they not only were they drinking out of cans, which if anyone has ever drank a bottle versus a can and tried to chug either, it is significantly easier to drink out of a bottle. The long neck kind of filters it down into you as opposed to the can, which is for lack of a better term, a chody looking thing. And it's harder to drink. And they had to drink a specific beer here. And I don't know if this is typical of all beer miles where they have to pick a sponsored beer and they drink that sponsored beer. But they were all drinking 5.2% Jupiler beer, which is a Belgian lager. So I don't know if that has something to do with it because obviously flavors are different from certain beers. I know when we drank, it was all like Natty Light, PBR, just easy stuff to get down like water. But I don't know what this tastes like. So it has to have an effect.
Keystone Light, baby. Keystone Light.
Key was another one. That was another popular one. But yeah, so
I would think that it would certainly have an effect. I mean, times were way slower.
Way down.
20, 30 seconds. I mean, I'm not sure what the usual. I have nothing really to base it on.
I've never run a world sanctioned beer mile in my life.
No, I ran one in college, and it wasn't the beer that I had issue with. It was the actual running because I was way out of shape. I hadn't run in a while, and I didn't finish. But watching some of my teammates and friends, man, they took that as serious as any race I've ever
I
seen.
think the fastest time I ever saw was a sub 6, and that was impressive. That was impressive with sub 6 because, you have to think you're chugging a beer, and let's talk about some of the DQs in this because there was kind of that same rule you kind of held yourselves honest here, where there was a DQ where there was more than 4 ounces of foam amongst the 4 beers.
Yeah, that was
that's a women's champion.
That was the girl who finished second, I believe. She got disqualified because when they added up all of her beers after the race, she had you're right, she had over 4 ounces of foam and beer,
and that was
combined, not in each beer. So it could have been like 1 ounce per beer, right?
But that was kind of always the rule too. You would chug and you would go, and once you were done, you would tip. Yeah. And if a bunch of foam fell out, you either had to drink a new one or run a penalty.
I'm just curious.
It was very big.
I'm just curious. How is that measured on the world level? Like, do they take all the beers, put them all in one cup and then met like
probably they probably all,
you know what,
I imagine they all have their own labeled beer. They're not allowed to crush the cans. They probably have to hand it to an official who then pours whatever head is left into listen, it seems like this is official because there was a chug zone of like 9 meters or whatever it is.
The woman who got first place, she got disqualified.
Yeah.
She ended up, I guess she took off early and she ended up chugging her beer out of the 9-meter chug.
And apparently like DQs are not uncommon, which again, you're pounding beers and you're trying to go as fast as you can. So I'm not surprised that DQs aren't uncommon in this, but I mean, it's interesting. I honestly may pay attention to more of the mile circuit. I think in June is the next one. Back in America.
I think it's back in Illinois or something.
July 1st in Chicago. The Beer Mile World Classic, if anybody's interested. It looks like they run it twice a year, probably 2 to 3 times a year, but that's fantastic.
It's
just will be allowed again.
And, obviously the 1600 is the perfect event, even amount, 4 laps. Earlier you mentioned Nick Simmons, and he's a great YouTube age. He does so many things for the sport in certain ways. He also did a Big Mac mile, which did not go well for any of the competitors.
No.
Yeah. If you have a stomach that isn't good, you don't want to watch.
Let's sponsor a milk mile. Everyone needs to drink like a cup of milk and then run a 400 for each lap. How much puking? You can't do it on a track. You would ruin the track.
Oh, milk mile would be.
A milk mile would be terrible. And you know what? Yeah. I guarantee we could find a ton of runners to do it.
Oh, listen. There's a lot of crazy distance runs out there.
Yeah. A milk mile, just straight up take it. Doesn't have to be a full. Doesn't have to be a full glass. It can be one of those half glasses, but still it's a lot of milk.
I'll even give him an option. Milk, chocolate milk, or strawberry milk. Your choice.
Oh, you got to go. No, cocoa milk, I can't because cocoa milk puts too much back. Cocoa milk's good for you. Chocolate milk is good for you post running. So that's the preferred drink. So no, just regular, straight up, dirty, disgusting cow pus. That
I take it you're not a milk fan.
Oh, I love milk. I drink milk almost every night, but I acknowledge what it is.
whole skim, 1-2%.
Whole. I go whole milk. I got to go whole milk. I can't not have whole milk.
I agree.
So yeah, that's a beer mile. Everyone look out for it. Controversy a bunch, but that's
to me. It's this, it's the story of the year.
So yeah, anyone that's tuning in for the first time, that's what you get out of Talking in Ovals. We talk about all things running, even beer miles.
Yeah.
So let's dive into something a little more serious here. You dove into this a little bit further, Hyatt. Talk about what's going on with Kenyan runners right now.
Well, it seems like there's a growing issue. I mean, I guess it's not growing. It's kind of been around for a couple years now of, doping over in Kenya. There's a lot of their top runners are getting busted for different substances. I guess for a long time, we read this article searching for a cure for the Kenyan doping epidemic. That's the one that I read by this guy, Jason Henderson. And he just talks about, so many people from Kenya who have just, been busted for EPO or for all these new substances that are coming out that help with your oxygen intake, that help keep your weight down. It's a shame. Part of me certainly understands why some of them would do it. But I'd have to get someone on who would know more if Kenya has any sort of doping agency like we do here. I'm not sure, but some of these are world-class athletes, and it's definitely an issue when there's anyone doing this. So,
and I think it kind of shines a little more of a light because it's Kenya, right? And the best marathoners down to the 1500, even definitely 800 have come from Kenya, with really the only other 2 countries able to really kind of push back against them at all has been Ethiopia and Morocco. I think those have been the only 2 that have kind of given them a little bit of trouble. So you're looking at it, and since I've basically paid attention to running in my adult life, Kenya's been the most dominant country, and it's not even close. And, as I'm reading this article, Hyatt, I'm kind of thinking a few things. First, I'm agreeing with you. What the hell's going on in Kenya? it might be worth it because they make a lot of money. They're the celebrities in Kenya. These running athletes are the major celebrities there. So it might be worth it for them to go and get a few championships, come back and be set for life and set their family up for life.
I mean, it
has to be similar to what the baseball players do here.
It even states, in the article, if you can go and win 2 mid road races, you're going to make the equivalent to about 2 years salary there. So, yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to say that, that you're wrong when you're betting your family, but then there's a whole ethical thing. I don't know. I'm torn. I see both sides equally. It's obviously it's something that I wish didn't occur because I always thought, that, and I'm sure this is 100% true as well. So I'm going to say it's not, that like they have an advantage because one, there's pretty much only 2 main sports there, soccer and running. So you have almost everybody in the country actually participating in those 2 sports. So that puts them at an advantage. And you're at altitude and, you don't have spoiled brats there. You have people who work hard and
it just also looks like physiologically too. They're all kind of built very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is an advantage. I think you can't overstate and understate just some regions are built in different ways. And it definitely seems like the people in some of these African nations, they're built for longer running, and we've had some good Americans, don't get me wrong, but I also want to bring it back to that. Is this just kind of easy pickings right now? Is this just kind of where Kenya's been so dominant that, you look at this list and this list ranges from early 2000s into the 1990s to now. And yeah, it looks like a lot of names, and it is a lot of names. Don't get me wrong. There's apparently has been a bigger cycle of busts, but it's not like other countries haven't been busted lately. They compared it to Russia and saying that they want to get a sanction from Kenya in a world, which is ridiculous, that they would join Russia. And I still feel bad for a lot of the Russian athletes. Like, I get it. They're still getting busted today, but you have to understand, unlike Kenya, because I think Kenya is a little more open with their sport, but I don't know their politics there, if they're being pushed politically to do this as well.
Right.
But in Russia, it was a political top-down thing where these athletes are being forced to be drugged. If they showed any promise, they're forced to be drugged, similar to how China's taking, a lot of younger girls and forcing them to be gymnasts if they see any sort of promise. So these athletes, well, I'm not going to say they're totally innocent, but we're coming at this from an American mind where we kind of have options. If we're good at something, we don't have to go do it. It's not something we're forced to do. Like, Hyatt, if you loved running, but you were a better basketball player, the state isn't coming down and saying, hey, we need you to play basketball for the United States, where some places don't have that option. So I think we have to kind of always keep in mind that Kenya, Russia, any other nations, not America, in terms of how we do things.
Yeah. And I definitely agree. Like, it's not as many names as I thought for as long as I guess that it's been going on. Certainly not enough to say that you can't compete in the World Championships. Yeah. That would be, in my opinion, obviously, yes. If you are one of the people who got caught, sure. But to say that the whole country can't, I don't know. It seems a little.
And and it's kind of like, again, is it easy pickings? Because, yeah, absolutely they're the best. But what about America? Marion Jones, Tyson Gay, Christian Coleman. Just recently, we've had our own fair share of, in our best events, sprinting. We're the most dominant sprinting country in the world. Even Jamaica's amazing. But in terms of longevity, America's it. We've had our fair share of issues. And you just look at what just happened with the whole entire Oregon project, where, yes, they were being forced to push the envelope, but at the same time, a lot of them are grown-ass men and women. Yep. And, they can make the chance and walk away. Mary Kane very publicly walked away from that team. So there was definitely, they could have done it if they wanted to. So I also look at this a little bit as, this is some easy pickings. Kenya's been on top for a long time, and let's try and take them down because we can't do it on the course and on the track.
I definitely think there is a sanction of people who are looking to discredit some of the accomplishments that these amazing athletes have done. And a lot of them have done it clean. And, they're just incredible at what they do. Sure. Some people obviously might be enhanced, but there's no doubt in my mind that it's a way to say, there's told you that there's no way that they could have been this good for that long. So yeah,
it's not like the Astros who are just flat out cheaters.
I do think that there is somewhat of an a slight American bias towards this. Yes.
Yeah, I did see one of the things that this writer kept going back to, which again was Jason Henderson. And Jason, I'm not knocking you in any sort of way. If you ever listen to this, I'm not knocking you. You did your job. You did the investigation. You put it out there. I do have to give Jason credit. While reading it, there was no direct bias of his input saying, I believe this should happen. He was saying that people were calling for it and things like that. I think he was making some inference into it. I'll definitely say he seems like he's on the side of kind of punishing Kenya a little bit harder, but not necessarily that he was out and out saying that. One of the things he kept going back to is, though, that a lot of the pacers for Kipchoge's sub 2 hour event, I think 4 of the pacers that were there are all on this list for being busted. They all have the same coach. They're all from the same team. So I don't know if that's kind of an outish roundabout way of kind of putting, maybe let's put some heat on Kipchoge, which would be awful.
I mean,
awful if Kipchoge is found out to be doping, because he is.
Well, him, yes, but I mean, I've never put an emphasis on if a pacer was dope. Like, I really could care less if the actual pacer is.
Yeah, but I think he's trying to just connect the dots. Same team, same coach, same this, and and it's not like I think sometimes it's a little different maybe in America where some of our guys are going for it. They're not necessarily only going for their teammates. They're trying to pull from some of the best Americans, going for an American record, where it seems like this was definitely a team effort with the challenge. So that's kind of the inference that I got there, that he wants people to look into Kipchoge and see if he's been doing it, because a lot of his teammates have been. I think it is kind of a connect the dots thing, but at the same time, it's unfair, because I've never gotten a hint from anyone that Kipchoge could be doping.
No, so. And again, like, we're just talking about something that we read. This we have done zero research. We have no hands-on information of anything. We're just going by an article.
Yep.
That we read that we found to be,
certainly interesting,
and definitely worthy of a topic.
Yeah, worthy of a topic, and something I think we'll monitor. I want to see if any more comes of this. I want to see maybe I'll shoot a message to Jonathan Gall and see what he thinks about it. Maybe we can get some of his info. I'll get get him, or maybe he might just tell me to piss off. I did you the favor of coming on your dumb little show.
I was already on there once.
I was on there. Leave me alone. Twice. No, but maybe I'll see if what Jonathan's opinion on it is.
Yeah, of course.
To give one out, because I think he's very much and maybe we'll reach out to some of our old guests and see what they think, if they have an opinion on it.
Yeah,
that could be fun.
Absolutely.
But yeah, ultimately, I think we agree. There's not much smoke, so I don't think there's a fire there necessarily with a country endemic.
Right.
I definitely don't think they should be suspended from the Worlds. I think that you find out that do it, you suspend them. Outside of that, you take it case by case.
Absolutely.
Take it case by case. All right. So on to our last topic here. Someone that, if you're listening, we want you to come on the show, Eric Holt. Come on the show. We're fans of yours. I think we're both fans of what you've been doing. We love the self-promotion. So for those that don't know, Eric Holt is an American runner. He's quite literally, he runs for Empire Elite Track Club, and he's from Binghamton, which is a small school in New York here. Ran cross country, track and field. He is finished 4th in the United States for the 1500 meter, 5th fastest 1500 meter time in the country this year.
Yep.
And the announcement just came down for the
New York Road Racers, right?
The New York Road Racers, the United States Track and Field 5K. Who's who is on there? Guess whose name is left off?
Eric Holt,
which I think is an absolute travesty by United States Track and Field. And apparently, what I read, the New York Road Runners don't have much of a say outside of sponsoring the event. Kind of, they're given the list by United States Track and Field, so I'm not going to kill the Road Runners. But it's kind of a travesty. And one thing that we pointed out that we're connecting the dots here is he doesn't have a sponsor. Every single other runner on that list has a sponsor.
Interesting.
First
of all, how does Eric Holt not have a sponsor? That's the part that I don't understand. The guy's 4th in the 1500 in
the country,
and he doesn't have a sponsor. Hello, shoe companies out there. Go to Eric Holt.
Yeah,
it's great.
So and it's it's kind of looking at connecting the dots here. There's nothing to gain, and you have a lot of people that he's friends with coming to his events. Biggest one I think might be Kyle Merber.
Yep.
Is constantly on there. He said to him flat out, you came in 4th in the USAs. You could say 4th instead of saying he was the 5th fastest time. So I mean, this is pretty bad. He's going to go run the Abbott Dash 5K on the same day.
Same day, yep.
Same day. It's November 5th is United States track and field 5K championships. And I'm not taking away from the list.
Right, no, like I'm
Good
not saying
list of athletes there.
take off this person, put him, just add him. Like it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And and there are some names on here that there's a good amount of names on here that I think Eric Holt's just straight up faster than. But
I mean, the only thing that I could think of in any way would be, not many 5K performances from him. It's usually mostly 1,500 a mile, but
yeah,
there's a lot of people on that list are specialized in the 1,500. So
yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, listen, you have guys in there that specialize in the 15. Yes, maybe a knock on him is he hasn't broken 14, but there's guys in here that haven't broken 14.
Correct.
And he has improved dramatically since college. It's not like he's stayed at collegiate level. No, he's improved dramatically, and he's working hard, and he's been proving people wrong. And I think that's the scary part for them, Hyatt. They did not want to put Eric Holt there because there was nothing to gain from the sponsors from Eric Holt winning.
Right.
And money talks. Unfortunately, yes. Money talks here, and there's nothing to gain there. So, I mean, we're pushing for you, Eric.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping, keep doing what you're doing. Keep working hard. The people in the running community, the eyes are opening. You're a Carmel, New York kid. I just want to say that. I'm in Poughkeepsie, Eric. We are quite literally neighbors. You're 2 towns away from me. Come on the damn show.
Yes. We got your back.
We got your back. So yeah, we're gonna be keeping watch. Shame on United States track and field, 100% for not bringing them in. Roadrunners, I wish you could do something, but keep your head up, Holt. You're going to get there. You'll just go into another national race and shock everyone again, which shouldn't be shocked at all to watch you doing what you do. So, hi, you have anything else to go on that?
No, it's like every other sport in a sense, in that capacity, like, money talks, and it should be about how you perform, not about who your sponsor is. That should be the beautiful thing about this sport, is that it shouldn't matter, sponsor or not. It's lace them up, run the race, and whoever wins, wins. But
I hope he goes out in the Abbott, blows the doors off, and finishes faster in the winter. Yeah. Runs a fast. I hope that would just be kind of redemption. He runs a faster 5K.
I mean, it's got to be harder.
It's got to be. It's a less. I'm not going to say lesser field because it's still a good field at the Abbott.
Yeah,
still an elite field. But yeah, it's not. He can't walk away and say, "Hey, I'm the United States champion" after this, which would be tedious if he was able to at least finish, top 5, top 3. Like that would be fantastic for.
I'm rooting for him.
His story. Yeah, I'm rooting for him too. So we're gonna follow Eric, and again, come on the show, Eric. 3rd time's a charm. Do it again. So, everyone, thanks for listening to this episode. Hyatt, you ready for next week? We're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, I don't know if we could top the beer mile conversation, but we'll find something interesting in this wonderful sport that we cherish and love to follow.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to have a guest, but, maybe we'll talk. Conferences have been going down with XC this week. We kind of didn't talk about that because they're not all done between college and high school stuff. If you're interested in coming on the show, you're a runner, you love running, please reach out. We want to have you on. We'll have you on. We love talking to anybody that likes running. Throwers, jumpers, please come educate us. We're bad at that. Please educate us. We need that. And
jumping, throwing coaches, please.
Yeah, please do. And we're just going to continue to chug along here and have some fun, everybody. So again, thank you so much for listening, Talking in Ovals. Please send us your PR. Send us your PR. We want to talk about more, celebrate more good stuff that's going on. So everyone, thank you so much again. Have a good one, y'all.